lovely. It's beautiful out here. And hear that little tweet? Yeah, I won't be able to show you, but there's a little fantail up in the tree, flitting around the place. And it's beautiful. They're really sweet little birds. So let me show you the day. There is the day. There is the supermoon. It is pretty big. It looks big to me this time. And there are the flowers, and there's me waving at you. Morning, Linda. Lovely to see you. Playing with the light and the shadows. And here's the day. It's just beautiful. It's calm. The sky is blue. I have to put a sun hat on because the sun is very bright, you know, clearly. And at the same time, I've got fingerless gloves on because it's quite cold out here. So there you go. That's the day. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Gotta show you some flowers. It's always a bit scrappy at this time of the year. But the Hebe's still got the few flowers on it. Come on, focus. Thank you. Now we have some sharp focus. It's beautiful. And, you know, we have the odd Japanese anemone here. They're not as lush as they are in the front garden because it's dry, but they still grow, which is amazing. And see, these are more Hebes up here. Let me go for a little walk. You can see they flower. They have a different coloured flower. And there's none left because they flower earlier. And they're chewed, but, you know, they're green. Morning, Marianne. They're really, really tough things, Hebes. They're quite often alpine plants. So they grow anywhere, just about. Heather, good morning. Have a look at the rosemary, which is about to come into flower. So, yeah, there you are. Oh, and this is something we don't often see. In the back here, there are some century plants which are growing and will get big. So, you know, the garden at this time of the year is always a bit interesting because not much is growing because it's dry, but all the same, there it is. Right. Now, good morning, Sang Marie. I can see you popping up on my screen. Lovely to see you, beautiful man. So, today, I want to talk about something that I know is going to resonate for a few. And it's this whole thing of receiving support, and the whole thing of feeling like a taker or feeling like you're asking too much, feeling like you're a nuisance, which was my thing. It was quite a program for me. And that whole thing of, you know, how can I not be annoying or demanding? Because you've got a program running that says if I ask for anything for anyone, then I'm, you know, they're going to sort of feel annoyed at me. And I don't feel like I'm being very articulate about this, but I know this is something quite a lot of us feel from one time or another. That, hey, you know, I need some help, but I feel guilty about asking for help. I feel bad about asking for help. And fundamentally, really, it's not safe for me to ask for help. It's not safe because we've had experiences where we asked for help and we were made to feel guilty about it, or bad or small, or you should be able to do that yourself. What do you mean you can't do that on your, you know, whatever. And there's often, not uncommonly, it's not unusual for there to be quite a lot of trauma, one way or another, connected to this. You know, because often there's betrayal of trust. That can be the other way, that it can be very hard for people to ask for help because they did ask for help and it went really, really, really wrong. And so now they don't want to ask for help, but they really need help. So, you know, it's like, how do you do this dance? Julian, good morning, beautiful. How do we navigate this space of, oh my God, I feel, you know, it's all right for me to help people. I'm fine with giving, and I probably give too much, and yeah, I know I give too much, and I end up resenting it or feeling drained or tired or angry or whatever it is. But don't ask me to receive, because it's much too dangerous. There's much too likely that I'm going to get hurt, or I'm going to feel guilty about it, or I'm going to feel disempowered or, you know, belittled or something because I asked for help. And so I thought, well, how do you unpack this? How do you unpack that? And I think the first thing about it is to realise if this is you, and you're fine helping people, but the moment somebody wants to give something to you, and you know that this is you, if whenever somebody gives you a compliment, you say, oh, it was nothing. Oh, it doesn't, it was nothing. And inside you freaking know it was something, but you just can't receive the compliment. You can't even receive thanks with any kind of comfort. If that's you, then that's you. We all have to learn to receive, and receiving a compliment is something that many people find difficult. They just deflect it or they minimise it. But, to be actually able to say when somebody says, hey, you did a really good job, well, thanks for that, it made a difference, to say, thank you, I really appreciate that, is next to impossible for a lot of us. So if that's you, then, you have a challenge with receiving, and it's common. And the very first thing that I think about if I'm in that situation is, okay, I gotta not beat myself up for finding this hard. Because if I beat myself up for finding it hard to receive, it's like, well, whichever way I turn, I lose. I can't receive, and I feel bad about it, and, I just go more and more into lack, and you're no good, and all of that stuff. So the first thing is to just, okay, I really struggle to receive. Gee, I probably have a really good reason to be afraid to receive, because it's really, always, it's fear. Why would you stop yourself from receiving something that you really want in life? Only because there would be negative consequences for you if you did. Now, I don't mean in reality, I mean in your reality. You would say no to receiving help or support, or, God forbid, asking for help or support, because in your perception, in your experience, it's too dangerous to do that. It's too scary. For some people, they can't ask for help because to do so, they would have to admit to themselves that they're actually not coping. And that sounds, they're delusional, they're arrogant, whatever. But the problem with saying it's not that simple. If that person actually has to face themselves enough to realise they're not coping and they need help, and, they're not as strong as they thought they were or whatever, it's like opening the lid of Pandora's box. Then suddenly they're faced with everything about themselves that feels weak or incapable, or, whatever they're trying not to see. And they're more afraid of dealing with that than they are of dealing with the pain of carrying on with the world on their shoulders and not asking for help. So we can really be locked into a corner by ourselves and our fears when you have these situations and you think, oh, geez, I could really use some help. And these assholes, they should know what I want. They should ask me. I shouldn't have to ask. Because, if they offer that, it'd be great. But, they're so used to me doing it all, they never think to ask. And they are used to you doing it all. And they're used to you doing it all with that kind of attitude of martyrdom and suffering. And it's just, but they may not be aware of it consciously, but they're just used to you being like that. So, of course, they're going to keep on playing that game. And I don't mean that in a negative or intentionally nasty way. I mean, it's just you keep showing up on the tennis court and hitting the ball in that way, they're going to keep hitting the ball back. So to actually admit to yourself, oh, geez, I'm this great martyr, I'm this great victim, I'm this great fearful person. God, that's hard to even see. But hey, I'm going to be gentle with myself about this, because there must be a really good reason why I make these choices, why I behave like this. And, I got to not beat myself up. The chances are I've already been beaten up. So I better not add to that, right? This is the challenging part, because if you're someone who finds it hard to ask for help, then you probably feel, like you owe everybody or you might feel like you owe everybody, like, that there's no space for you, there's no support for you. And with that mindset, and by the way, I'm speaking from experience, with that mindset, you just feel like, I can't ask for help because I'm just going to be perceived as a nuisance and a pain and a drain, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to have to carry on the way I am. It's very easy to feel this way. It's very common to feel this way. So the first thing is not to become your own punisher just because you happen to have some conditioning that makes it very hard for you to feel worthy enough, that word, to receive what you even need in life. Alicia, good morning, gorgeous. It's funny, actually, because I wasn't really thinking about worthiness when I composed this post, but really that's the flip side of who we need to become. If you're going to allow yourself to receive, you've actually got to feel worthy. Now, let me say I am not talking about the myth or the icon or whatever it is, the idea of self-worth. I am not talking about that. What am I talking about when I'm talking about feeling worthy? Well, most of us know how it is to feel unworthy. It's like, oh no, like for example, say there were 100 people in a room and there are 10 healings that are being dished out, right? And the normal human response, and it can be healed of anything, it's just a magic, you take a pill and your thing is gone. So it's normal and human to look around the room and think, well, there are people in wheelchairs, I can still walk, I have pain, but I can still function. I'm not nearly as worthy of that thing that I desire as those people are because their problem's worse than mine. We make these comparisons and we look at what we've achieved in life or, what we think we've achieved in life. We have all these little checks and balances inside of our heads, and when this is the thing for you, receiving or asking for help is really hard, you're probably not even aware that you go through the checks and balances in your mind about, but I asked that person for something a month ago and it feels too soon to ask them again. And they did that thing for me 2 weeks ago. And so, I kind of owe them already. I don't deserve anything more because I haven't given enough first. We have these, I remember this, and it takes a lot of energy. And so that whole system inside my head has slowly and surely been replaced with something else. And it really has turned out to be about falling in love with myself and knowing me and loving me so much that I feel worthy because I feel whole, because I know who I am and I know the gift that I am and the blessing that I am. And that because I know that, and I know how I contribute just by breathing in and out, and so do you, by the way, that if I'm going to ask for assistance, I'm going to do it appropriately, and I'm going to do it in such a way that the person or people or whatever I'm asking are going to have the ability to say no if they don't want to. And you may notice that with the words that I write, I take a certain amount of effort to make that choice apparent. Because I don't like having things imposed on me, and I don't want to impose things on other people either. But also, I got things to ask. And it's this really weird thing of, how do you ask without feeling like you're imposing on someone, but also you're asking a clear question. You're not kind of saying, if you don't mind, would you really please help me just a little bit because I feel so unworthy to ask. I'm just sort of begging here. It's like, no, that was really how I used to feel. I remember this. So to be able to know myself enough and know the value of what I'm asking about and what I deliver, and there's a lot in here. God, we could talk about this for hours. To know that, and to be able to just stand in clarity and say, look, this is my request. You are free to do what you want to do. Bless you either way. Because of course I'm whole enough and I'm worthy enough that I know I'm going to be looked after. And of course it's taken me a long time to come into this space of knowing that the Divine Observer sees me every moment, is endorsing who I'm being, has never left me out in the cold. Even when I thought I wasn't. I can't really explain it. But to be able to just stand in the space of who I am and know that I can ask, and I give people a choice to say no, so that coercion aspect isn't there, and I make it clear, but I'm not begging, and I'm not hoping, and I'm not crawling inside myself thinking, oh God, I hope they don't hit me, which also I used to feel one way and another. So it's a really interesting thing, you know, and how do you unpack that? Well, understanding how I used to feel, and I'm explaining it not to really rev that up in you, but to make it, to sort of unpack it a little bit, because I didn't understand that about myself. So to make it a little bit more visible, give you some things to think, oh, do I do that? Am I like that? But really, the piece that is always much more valuable is to think, well, what is it like to feel worthy? Really, what is it like? What does that mean to me? I just asked this question in the Heartfield last night. So this question came through like a storm into my awareness. And I was doing the weekly training video. I was like, worthiness. Talk about worthiness. What the feck is it? Because there's all this bullshit. You know, worthiness is like the word love, you know. What does that mean? And for a lot of people, I've just been reminded, a lot of people, love comes with pain. I love you. Slap. I love you, so I'm going to do this thing to you, you know, that you don't like and that you don't understand. It all gets mixed up. And so worthiness gets mixed up with achievement and living a worthy life, whatever that actually means. But what does it mean to you to live a worthy life? Really? And after you've discounted the, you know, gone down the list of, oh, well, you know, I've got the house and the wife and or the husband or the partner and the car, you know, all of that bullshit that really doesn't do it for any of us in here. You think, well, what is a worthy life? And always eventually we end up, I think, coming to a place of thinking, I want to contribute, and I want to contribute this way. Because our natural state of being is to contribute. We love to give. Now, to give, of course, you got to be able to eat and sleep and, you know, not be dead or not be incapacitated. Well, those people who are really incapacitated and they still give, so I better shut up about that. You know, we have to find a way to contribute, and we always feel worthy when we do that. But worthiness also is not about what I contribute. It's about who I am. It's about feeling whole in me, independent of anything that I do or don't do. I'm glad this is making sense, Alicia. It's the weirdest thing. It's like trying to say, well, the sky is blue. Yeah, but what does that mean? I mean, you know, it's so... I know I'm repeating myself because I said similar things in the Heartfield yesterday, so this is clearly in the ether, so to speak. You know, it's like we all know that 1 + 1 makes 2. But why? The number theory is really, really complex. I don't know what that is. I haven't done, you know. What is worth? What is worth? And to me, it's wholeness. It's feeling myself. It's feeling good in me. It's feeling, I love me. I love me. And when I'm in that space, then I can ask clearly. I can get a yes. I can get a no. I don't feel fear about what that answer's going to be. And I also know that what I receive comes clean. It doesn't come with strings. It doesn't come with well, I've given you this, but now I'm going to have a hold over you and I'm going to pull strings on you. It's like anybody tries to do that, they're like, go away. Go away. Very strong no to that kind of bullshit. So giving and receiving just becomes about, I have a need. If you're going to help me. Great. Let's create together. But I don't owe you, and you don't owe me. And it's interesting that I still have this dance going on in my head sometimes, and I see it and I think, Maddie, no. People choose to give. They give because they've chosen, and bless them. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. And remember that when people give to you, Maddie, when people give to you, the blessing is theirs. When you release something, when you let it go, you declare yourself abundant. So when you ask people for things, you are giving them an opportunity to bless themselves. Look at it that way. Look at it that way. And you look upon asking for support or for help in a whole new different light, because then you think, okay, what's the most elevated way that I can be asking for support? Really thinking about the person who's going to give it, what it's going to do for them, what it's going to do for me, what we'll create together. You put a completely different energy around asking and receiving, and it becomes an act of co-creation. It becomes an act of love. You cannot give without receiving, and you cannot receive without giving. It's, we get stuck in this polarity. It's bullshit. So you are worthy to receive support, and you are worthy of giving what you give when you receive. Isn't that a thought? I'm pretty sure we're out of time. Yeah, we're out of time. And that's okay. Because me creating me willing, I'm going to be here on Monday, and there will be resonant replays over the weekend. And you are going to keep creating yourself. So, it's Friday. But, it's Thursday for a lot of you. This moment is the beginning of the rest of your life. Live it the most worthy you know how. You're a blessing. You are a blessing. Big love. I'm going to see you Monday. Bye-bye.